I'm Carole Leathem, and you're listening to a bonus episode of the Caretakers Journey podcast. I am your host, and I want to welcome you to day 29 of our 31-day Caretakers Resolve Challenge. We are almost to the end. Today is January 29th, and our resolve is to create memories. So grab your Post-it note and write. I resolve to create a memory book which documents special moments with my loved one for myself and for future generations. So creating and preserving memories as a caretaker can be both meaningful and therapeutic. We need to document those special moments and create keepsakes to help our family remember our loved ones. We can capture daily candid photos and videos of our loved one doing everyday activities, or we can capture a moment that they're doing something that they love. Last Christmas, I have this video on my phone, and if I want to smile, I will go and look at this video. We got a video of our mom leading the choir at her assisted living apartment complex. She had stepped in at the last minute. The choir director had to not, he got sick. And so my mom has been a choir director and a pianist for her entire life. And she stepped in and agreed to lead the choir for the Christmas program. The thing I noticed when I look at this video is the joy on her face as she leads the singing. It was beautiful. I actually started to cry when I saw it the first time because I thought, this is my mom who's on hospice, living her life, even though she knows that it's going to be shortened by this disease that she is facing. But she's taking a moment and she's doing something she loves. It was so beautiful. Record short interviews asking your loved one about their favorite memories, life advice, or experiences. So I'm getting ready to head to Milwaukee on February 1st. And one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to find some time to record, maybe just voice recording, I don't know, but to record just some short clips of my mom talking about her life. What would she like to tell her 3 new great-grandbabies who are 6 months or less old? She has 3 brand new great-grandbabies. What would she like to tell them about life? We can also create a physical or a digital album for her life. You can then have it published into photo books, or you can put it on a website for family members to access. How beautiful would it be for these 3 little kids that are just now infants to grow up someday and be able to access some sort of photo album on a computer or a phone where they can see their Nana and how much she loved them, and they can learn more about her. I think it's important to maintain a journal recording funny, touching, or profound moments as they happen. I have started doing this more and more. I tend to open up my phone and do a voice recording when something funny happens. The other day, my sister took my mom to church, and on the way back, they made a stop at the grocery store. My mom sat in the car, and when my sister came out, my mom had a very puzzled look on her face. And my sister said, "What's going on?" And she said, "Did you know that they now have special places in the parking lot for you to put your grocery carts? What amazing idea." And my sister called me later after she dropped her off, and we just kind of giggled for a few minutes because that was a profound moment for my mom. And I wish we had caught it on tape. I wish we had recorded it because it just, to me, reminds me, my mom has always been a very professional woman who's worked in departments of highways and things like that. And she was really high up in leadership as a profession. And so for my mom to sit there for a moment, she's tapping into that part of her brain that says, this is very cool. This is very important. When you're done with your cart, you take it and you leave it there. Have your loved one write legacy letters to the future generations, or write your own letters about them to share in the future. I've been writing down just things that I want to remember about my mom, and things that I want my kids and my grandkids to remember about my mom. I think it's important to document family history and traditions and then to write down all of those traditions and history and stories about our loved ones. Another idea, and I've seen this done. I've not done this, but I've seen this done, and it's kind of cool, is to make a handprint keepsake or a plaster mold of their hand to preserve their memory. I've researched what that would look like because I'm thinking, how fun would it be to have my mom do a plaster mold of my mom's hand with her newest grandbaby, Thomas? What an incredible keepsake. What a picture of old generation, new generation. You can use meaningful items of clothing or linens to create a blanket or quilt. I have a friend in Arizona, and she makes the most beautiful quilts. And she has a son-in-law who has a lot of sweet t-shirts from Harley Davidson. So she has created the most beautiful quilt for him out of these t-shirts. And when I saw it, it was stunning. But what a great idea to take something that's so meaningful to someone and create a lasting gift like a quilt or a blanket. Make audio recordings of your loved one. We talked about this already a little bit, sharing a story in their own voice and talking about their favorite things. I'm definitely going to do this. I think I'm definitely going to do this. Make a collage of photos, mementos, quotes, and frame them. Create a family website to store the photos, videos, and stories so that all family members can have access. What about sharing family recipes? A few months ago, I was in Milwaukee with my sister, and I opened up a cabinet and I found these old little metal boxes. And I didn't know what they were. And so I asked my sister what they were. And she said, those are Grandma Lily's recipe boxes. There were several. And I pulled them out and I went over and sat down in the corner of the couch. And for about an hour or so, I just thumbed through the recipes. And it was so significant in my life because there were recipes in there I remember. Things I remembered baking or making with my grandmother as a small child. My favorite birthday cake that my grandmother ever made. To this day, it's my favorite birthday cake, and I've only found it in one other place. The recipe was in the box. It was pretty fun to open up, pick up that card, and to see in my grandmother's handwriting the recipe for that cake. Sharing family recipes and the stories that go along with them can be so fun in remembering your loved one. By engaging in these kinds of activities, we're preserving our loved one's legacy and we're creating something tangible for the future generations. Little Thomas is going to know my mother, even though he's not going to be old enough to remember her. He's going to be too young to remember her. And he's never going to have met my grandmother, but he will know who she was. We are ensuring that their memories live on. I challenge you to think, what is it you would like your children, your grandchildren to remember about you? I've been thinking about this a lot because life is not guaranteed and life is so fragile. What is it that we can record or do so that our legacy is passed on to the next generation? Thank you for joining me today. If you know a caretaker, share the show with them using the links in the show notes below. My resources for these resolves is my book, Are You Ready to Find Joy When Life Gets Messy? And on February 7th, we're going to launch an 8-week series about my book. If you want to know more about how my caretaking journey started, the link to purchase my book is below. And if you want an in-depth copy of the Caretaker's 31-Day Resolve Challenge, join my email list in the link below, and I will let you know how to get it when it becomes available. As I close out today's episode, I want to pray for you. God, as caretakers, we're loving and caring, and we understand how fragile life is, and we understand loss. And I'm grieving, even though my mom is still here, I'm grieving so much loss where she's concerned. There are days that she doesn't remember who I am, and it's overwhelming to think that she's slowly fading away, and one day she will no longer be here. God, as I go next week to spend 2 weeks with her and my family in Milwaukee, I pray, God, that you will help me to preserve some memories, direct me, tell me what to ask, help me understand how to record, give my mom a couple of good days so that she can focus and share some of the things that are inside of her heart and her mind. God, I pray for the caretaker who's listening, who might be watching their loved ones slip away. I pray that if they still have time, that they will stop and make some recordings or some stories or some letters to remember. God, I thank you for those metal boxes that I found with my grandmother's recipes, not just because they're recipes, but because they sparked memories. And seeing my grandmother's handwriting was a beautiful thing. It brought her back. She's been gone for a very long time. God be with the caretakers as we walk through these days of caring and grieving and loving and doing it all again. As always, God, thank you for walking before us. Thank you for walking behind us. And God, thank you so much for walking beside us. I ask all this in your precious Son's name. Amen. May bless you. May the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look with favor on you and give you peace. I will be back tomorrow for day 30. And until then, it's all about